Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing a different kind of wrap up, and obviously from the title you know that by now, but yeah, it's my first ever movie film wrap up. So yes, I am going to talk about the films that I read. I'm so used to the booktube wrap ups. Anyway, I'm going to be sharing the films that I watched during August and giving my thoughts and opinions on them and how I rated them. So the first film that I watched during August was Fairy Tale, a true story. Now this is about the fairy sighting hoax by the two cousins Elsie Wright and Frances Griffiths. I can't remember what year it was like the actual happening occurred, but basically it's about these two cousins that have claimed they have found fairies in the bottom of their garden, and there's this whole uproar of if it's real or a hoax. In this particular film it is carried off as if it is real, but in real life it was a hoax, unfortunately. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a film that I remembered watching when I was really young, and all I remembered was seeing these fairies in it, and I knew it was called Fairy Tale, but I just couldn't remember exactly what else is happening, so I was searching for all those years. I finally found it on Amazon like a few years back, but then I didn't get it, and then I saw it in Asda for really cheap. I think it was like £3, as well as the other film I'm going to show you that I've actually got physically in a bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I think it's for those of you who like magical realism and fairy stories and stuff like that. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars and really enjoyed it. I love it. It's a great film. The next film I saw was something that I actually went to the cinema for, and that was Inside Out. I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars, and if you don't know what Inside Out is, it's basically a film about little emotions inside your head and kind of seeing how they control the body and stuff. So we're following this main character called Riley, who's 11 years old, and so she's kind of starting to develop more as a human being, if that makes sense. And so we're watching what's going on inside her head. We're following fear, anger, disgust, joy and sadness, and I really didn't expect it to be so in depth as it was. We pretty much follow joy and sadness on a journey in Riley's mind to make things that went wrong better, and it's so awesome. A lot of people have come up with questions of why is Riley's emotions mixed gender when we look in other people's head. We have like brief moments inside the mum and the dad's head, and just some other characters, which is kind of like during the credits, if I remember correctly, and they all have single gender for whatever gender they are. And a lot of people have just been saying maybe she's just too young to think about that sort of stuff, and as she develops they'll turn into more suited genders. But one thing my friend said, which I really liked the thought of, and quite a few people were saying, is maybe she's gender fluid, or maybe she's bisexual or something like that. So it's really interesting. I think it'd be great if they do a sequel to kind of go into maybe why it really is how it is, and also it'd be great to see how the emotions react to puberty, because she's like at that age where you could be going into puberty soon. So I think it'd be really cool if they went somewhere with that. I really enjoyed that film. As I said, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The third film I watched during August is The Labyrinth. Now this is like a bind up of The Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal, which I still haven't watched. I was going to watch it, but then I didn't. And The Labyrinth features David Bowie, I can't remember how to say it, and Jennifer Connelly. And it's basically about a girl who lives with her dad, her stepmom and her stepbrother, and she sounds whingy pretty much. She's a whingy brat. She doesn't want to babysit for them, just because she feels like they expect her to do it and they don't really ask if she's got any plans. Anyway, she kind of takes that resentment out on the stepchild, and she wishes for it to be taken away by the goblins. So then it happens, and we're following her quest on trying to get her baby brother back out of the Goblin Kingdom before the time runs out. And David Bowie is the Goblin King. It's really great. It's a great fun movie. Obviously, watching it now, it's very cheesy because I don't know when it actually came out. I think it's originally in 1986 by the looks of things. So, you know, it's an older movie. The acting's not as superb as it probably would be now, maybe, but it's definitely a classic. Got some very nostalgic feelings from it, and I loved it. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So the next film I watched was Akira, and I think it's a Japanese anime film. And I don't even know how to explain this one. This is the first time I've ever watched it, but I really wanted to, because everywhere I go, the main kind of classic Japanese animated film seems to be Akira, and I heard so much, everyone was saying it's awesome, blah 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 blah, and to be honest, I'm so confused by what it was really about that I couldn't see how awesome it was. Now don't get me wrong, I gave it like, what was it, 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I'm just so confused. Like, so by the sounds of things, we're following a gang, like a biker gang, but they're youngsters, I think they're like 15, and there's something to do with like special intelligence forces and an otherworldly presence on the planet, and I don't know, some weird stuff going on. I don't even know how to do it justice in explaining what the synopsis is, but I would say maybe check it out if it sounds interesting to you. Maybe you make more sense of it than I would. Maybe I just need to watch it again and kind of listen and pay attention, but I didn't understand it very well at all. After that, I watched The Hobbit Part 1, An Unexpected Journey, and I just love that film. I gave it 5 out of 5. It's following the adventures of Bilbo Baggins, who is a hobbit. They live a very quiet life in the Shire. They don't go on adventures because it's a no-no and weird, but he goes on an adventure with Gandalf and the 12 dwarves to try and take their land back from the dragon Smaug, or Smaug, however you want to pronounce it. It's just a great film, like I really, really enjoy it. Great action-packed fantasy film, love it, really enjoy it. Anyone should watch it, and the Lord of the Rings series as well. The next 2 films I didn't watch very properly. I watched The Princess Diaries. I didn't see it from beginning to end really, and I watched Meet the Robinsons, which I also didn't see from beginning to end. But I really do like Princess Diaries. I'd probably give it like a 4. Probably give Meet the Robinsons a 4 as well, because I remember watching it seriously when it first came out, I think, and really, really enjoyed what it was about. So Princess Diaries is obviously about Princess Maya, something like that. I never read the books or really watched the films religiously, but it's about her coming into a new kingdom she doesn't realise exists, and she's a part of that, and she needs to reign after her grandmother has like given the crown to her, and it's just about her life taking up princess royalness. It's really good. It's better than I'm making it sound. And Meet the Robinsons, if I remember correctly, it's a futuristic animated film. It's about a orphan who, I think he wants to find out who his parents are, and I don't really want to say too much because I don't know what counts as a spoiler and what doesn't count as a spoiler, because I didn't watch it properly and I'm just taking clips out of what I saw, so I'm not sure if that's going to spoil it. So it's just a futuristic story about an orphan who wants to find his family. Next, I watched this really shitty film. It's Sleeping Beauty, a 2014 version, and I saw it on sci-fi. I thought it was going to be pretty interesting, but no. I made a few notes about this. Just no, it wasn't good. It really, really wasn't. It had a slightly different twist. We was kind of following more the prince aspect rather than Sleeping Beauty or Maleficent, who wasn't called Maleficent, which I'll get to in a minute. So we was following that. So it took a twist, and within that twist it took a twist, if that made sense. Also the character is Sir Loras, I think, Sir Loras Tyrell, that's his name if I remember correctly, from Game of Thrones, if that's any interest to you. It had really awkward acting that I felt very uncomfortable watching. It's like they were uncomfortable saying it, or they thought they were better actors than they actually were, like the acting performance, not the actors themselves. The graphics, they were just absolutely horrendous, really badly. They could have been done without. It would have looked more realistic if someone just came in dressed up as this monster or whatever, but no, it wasn't. That wasn't very good. For 2014, I don't understand why they were so behind in their animation and their acting. But a good part is the narration. I did like the guy that was like narrating the story, but it did feel more like a documentary in the way that he was narrating it. That was a bit weird. Also, I noticed that the characters had different names. I don't know how it is originally in the original story, but Sleeping Beauty, who I know as Aurora, was called Dawn, and this Dawn character looked like Hilary Duff. And then Maleficent wasn't called Maleficent. I don't know what she was called, but she had another name, and it was so strange because she looked hypersexualized. She was all in this like tight booby outfit, and I don't understand why. It didn't make any sense. She had no one to impress. Like, maybe she dressed for herself, I don't know, but when the kingdom is asleep, why are you dressing like that? Like, I don't understand. No, I generally think it was a very, very bad film. Yeah, so it's no question to why I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. It was very terrible. Then after that, more recently, I watched Superman, the 1978 version. I'm not sure if that's the original first Superman movie. It might be, it might not be, I don't know. But I surprisingly enjoyed it. Like, I didn't even know it was Superman when I was watching it until I saw a guy with glasses, and then I was just thinking it, and then someone went, Ken, and I went, Clark Kent? Oh hi. So yeah, that was another film I was on and off watching, but I ended up watching it pretty much all the way through except for the beginning part I missed. I did find it to be very cringy in the acting. Like when the flying scenes with like Lois Lane. I mean, I don't really need to explain what Superman is. I'm pretty sure loads of you know what Superman is. But when they were flying and when Superman was flying, and it just looked so cringy. And some of the stuff they said were cringy, but it was still lovable and enjoyable. Because I was watching it at my nan's, and they have some like voiceover settings for like hard of hearing people. I had the voiceover guy narrating it, and it was quite annoying, but I think a lot of the time I zoned out of that and I kind of focused just on the film. But when I did notice it, it was so irritating. Other than that, I really liked the film, surprisingly enough. It was really, really good, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And last of all, I know this don't really count, but it is only the 1st of September, so I'm gonna count it anyway, like as I'm filming it. I've just come back from the cinema with Chloe, and we've just seen Paper Towns. So I had watched the Book Fox. I can't remember her actual name, I'm really sorry if she's watching this, but I watched her August film wrap up yesterday, and she had mentioned that she'd also seen Paper Towns, and she wasn't very fond of it, but she didn't like the book either. If she read the book, I think she read the book, but she didn't like it either. But she did say that those who read the book might enjoy it, because what happened in the book did happen in the film. Like, it's very true to it, and I can totally see what she means there. Like, I read the book myself personally, and I really enjoyed it. I saw the film and I really enjoyed it too. Like, it was just a fun, summery feeling film, because Paper Towns is about, I should probably explain, this pretty much centres around this character called Margot, who's always very, very mysterious. Everyone wants to kind of get to know her and be with her and be her. And then her neighbour, whose name I have forgotten, is pretty much like fascinated and in love with her since they were young, and she's always running off and leaving clues. So one time she goes away, and it feels different to him, like the neighbour. So he wants to try and find clues to try and find out where she is. And yeah, it's kind of like a road trip story. You've got to get back before prom, and it's fun. I feel of the film, it's like the ending of things, but also the beginning of things, because the characters are all leaving high school and going on to college and whatever. And at the time that I read the book, I think I was in my last year of college, so which is different to America. I think their college is uni, and my college is actually college. It's kind of going through the end of things too, so I kind of understand that feeling, and I feel like they portrayed it well in the film, but it didn't have as much depth as the book did. I do think Cara Delevingne did a good job as Margot, surprisingly. I had never seen her act before, and I think she was pretty good, pretty mysterious. She got that down to a T. The one thing that I was a little bit irritated is that the guy that plays the neighbour, whose name I can't remember, I think his real name's Nate, because he was in The Wolf Brothers, a Nickelodeon TV show, if that's what it was called, and he was in The Fault in Our Stars, and now he's another character in Paper Towns, and it upsets me because he's like two characters, but what if they were to ever mush these stories together? He can't be there because he's two different characters from two different stories. It doesn't make sense. And also, I'm just going to say, road trip, petrol station, guy at the petrol station. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. But yeah, I was excited by that part. Anyway, probably don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the film, I enjoyed it. Chloe had a good point that she thought Margot was irritating in the book. She wasn't as irritating, if you had thought that, in the film. I think she was a little more down to earth, a little more playful, rather than complete attention seeking, come find me. So I'd probably give the film 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars. It's enjoyable, nothing too heavy, nothing too serious, just what I needed now. Really enjoyable. So yeah, what have you been watching last month, I guess? If you've got any recommendations, just let me know and I shall speak to you next time. Bye. Even if we're strangers